Back in 1918, the world was overshadowed by the deadly pandemic influenza. All the crying of a new baby born was often heard fading in the silence. An extraordinary story emerged from the heart of Africa, a story of faith stronger than death. Today we journey back to the early days of Archbishop Paul Mwazha, which was born in the time of devastation, a declaration, a lifeless moment after birth, and yet revived through a miracle at the hands of Father Schmidt. His story is not just history, it is testimony of divine purpose. Join me as we uncover the miraculous beginning of a man whose life would inspire generations until believers, and shines as a beacon of our God's unending love.
When the atomic bomb detonated over Hiroshima on the 6th of August 1945, it did far more than destroy buildings and take lives. It shattered the entire foundation of public health, creating conditions where influenza and many other infectious diseases spread rapidly. Below is a vivid narration explaining how and why. Influenza outbreaks followed the bombing in the silent, burning ruins of Hiroshima, where the air still trembled with radiation and smoke. The survivors faced an invisible enemy more persistent than fire disease. The city's once ordered streets were now a wasteland of shattered homes, fallen hospitals, and broken water lines. In this chaos, influenza found the perfect ground to strike. The atomic blast, with its tremendous heat and explosion. Beneath the shadow of the great influenza scourge, a quiet corner of rural Africa witnessed a birth that would one day echo across nations. It was an era marked by trembling uncertainty, homes veiled in mourning cloth, villages silenced by sickness, and families kneeling in prayer as the relentless fever swept through the land. Yet amid this wilderness of sorrow, a light was destined to appear. It was in these perilous days that Paul Mwazha of Africa, the future apostle, drew his first breath. His birth did not come in the comfort of calm seasons, but in the very eye of a storm when influenza ravaged communities, stealing the strong and weakening the brave. The disease moved like a ghost through homesteads, its presence felt in every whispered cough and every dimmed fire. Paul Mwazha of Africa was born, his arrival overshadowed by the prevailing storm of death. From his mother's womb he came, but the world he entered was one suffocating under the weight of disease. The influenza scourge had taken many, weakening both the strong and the gentle. And, as though touched by the same ruthless hand that tormented the land, the infant fell still shortly after birth. His cries faded, his chest ceased its rise, and the midwives bowed their heads, believing the child had slipped into the quiet realm of death. For many, this would have been the end of the story, but for his mother, faith refused to surrender. In the midst of sorrow, she gathered his small, lifeless body close to her breast. Her heart trembled, yet her spirit held firm to a divine conviction. This child was not meant for death. With a strength born from desperation and faith, she walked toward the mission station where Father Schmidt, the German Catholic priest, served the surrounding villages. The path was long and the air cold, but she pressed on, whispering prayers with every step. She believed that if the child could be presented before God through baptism, heaven itself would speak life into him again. When she reached Father Schmidt, the missionary priest looked upon the tiny, motionless infant with deep solemnity. Seeing her unwavering faith, he agreed to perform the baptism. Lifting the child gently, he poured the holy water upon his forehead and declared, "I baptize you in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit." And then the miracle unfolded. As the cool baptismal water touched him, the infant who had lain still suddenly stirred. His chest shuddered, a faint breath drew in. Then another, and moments later, the lifeless child cried out. It was a cry that pierced the silence of the mission yard, a cry that startled even the priest. To the mother, it was nothing less than a sign from heaven. In that moment, the child who had died was restored to life, as though the hand of God had reached down to reclaim him. Those who witnessed it whispered that the influenza might claim many, but this child was chosen for a higher calling, rescued from death for the sake of a divine mission yet to unfold. Thus, Paul Mwazha, born in days of disease, resurrected through baptism, became known not merely as a survivor, but as a child marked by destiny. His life itself began with a miracle, and that miracle would become the foundational testimony of the man who would later preach unity, love, healing, and the unending mercy of God.